All right, welcome back everyone. I want to start this video just by saying thank you to everyone who took the time to watch the videos that I've put out previously and sharing the link that I put out there on social media. I appreciate all of it. The more people that we have looking at this channel and watching these videos, inevitably the more donations we'll get for the charity. I did notice a lot more views on the first video than the second, so if you haven't seen it, go check out the second video I put out that's all about the charity. It's a short 5-minute video that just kind of describes everything about the charity that I'm asking everyone to consider supporting as I do my thru hike this year. All right, I'm coming at you guys from Hermit the van because the wife is teleworking. Didn't want to bother her, so just came out here to a little river where we normally go kayaking. Figure I will do this video, which is going to be all about the gear I'm going to be taking with me on my thru hike, and we'll do it from the van. Let's see how it goes. It is a little chilly out here. I think it's right around 30 degrees. I know what you're probably thinking. I'm starting my thru hike in February, so I might as well start getting used to it. But what I'm gonna do is a little bit different in my gear video. I already have my pack set up like it will be on the AT. What I'm gonna do is unpack it. That way you can see how I have it packed, and we'll go from there. All right, so we'll start with just the backpack and everything on the outside. The pack that I'm going with is the Hyperlite Mountain Gear Junction 3400. This was a recent change, so I don't have a lot of experience with this pack, but I made the decision a couple months ago to go with the Dyneema fabric. I like the idea of a more waterproof fabric out there on the AT as much as it rains. So I switched my big three just recently. So I'm going with the Junction. I've had it on a couple shakedowns and it feels good. So yeah, we'll go from there. So on the outside, I'm still kind of working with this, but I have a Nemo foam sleeping pad. This is one of 2 sleeping pads that I'm going to be bringing with me. So I'm taking this one in addition to an inflated insulated pad just for a more increased R value, which I'll get into here in a second. But I plan to carry that pad on the outside of my pack until at least probably after the Smokies, and we'll reassess whether it's needed from there. These are the Alpine, or Black Diamond Alpine trekking poles. I am not a huge fan of hiking with trekking poles, so I don't use them very often unless there's a water crossing or just a really severe downhill where I need them. But they're needed for my tent, so bringing those. I have duct tape with a little Allen key that I put out here because for some reason I always seem to have problems with these latches right here. They're either too tight or too loose, and I always seem to have to adjust them one way or another. So I'm just carrying that. I put a little earplug on the end so it doesn't, puncture the pack or anything like that as I'm carrying them. You can see one of the handles is nicely eaten up by some sort of animal that happened in Glacier National Park. So that was a learning point. Don't leave these things on the ground when you sleep at night. Okay. As you can see, the Crocs, I have those for camp shoes. I don't know if they'll really be needed, but with the feet problems that I have, I'm gonna at least start out with them and see for recovery at camp. It'll probably be nice to put my feet into something else, and then I can use those for any water crossings as well. So the difference between the Hyperlite Junction and the Wind Rider is a pretty popular pack for thru hikers. Really the only difference is the sides right here. So on the Wind Rider you have mesh right here, and then you have mesh on either side. This one just gives a little bit more protection on the side. for bushwhacking and stuff like that. Okay, so on the outside, I have a little dry bag. Set this down. This is going to be my poop kit, and right now I just have my water filter, which will probably be attached to the smart water bottle while I hike. But in here I have a 2-liter bag. I can use this for camp for additional water and filtration. I might ditch this at some point because it might be a little bit excessive. Deuce of spades. This is again for my poop kit. I have a travel bidet, so this attaches to a smart water bottle. This goes in place of carrying toilet paper. I don't have a whole lot of experience with this, so we'll see how it goes. I don't think the first part of the hike I'll be using this a whole lot, just because it doesn't sound too appealing to be using it in 20-degree weather or however cold it gets, so we'll see. Sawyer squeeze, this is going to be my main water filtration. This just attaches to that bag you just saw or a 1-liter smart water bottle, and I'm gonna plan to carry 2 of those. I'm bringing this is for flushing the water filtration. I know a lot of people don't bring this, so I'm not sure if it's really needed. Again, if you have experience in this, let me know if this is actually something that I need to bring. So the reason I keep the poop kit and water filtration on the outside of the pack, one, in case you have an emergency and you need to go really quick, I'll have that. I won't have to, open up my pack and get it. It'll all be right there. And then water filtration, obviously you want that easily accessible, so you can frequently fill up the water as you're hiking. The only other thing on the outside of my pack in that mesh pocket right there is going to be my rain gear, which again, you want this accessible, especially on the AT as much as it rains. So I have the Outdoor Research Helium 2 rain jacket, and I'm still trying to decide my bottoms and what I'm going to do, but I have some REI rain pants that I'm probably going to bring. Other than that, that's the back side of the pack. Design that patch on the bottom. Ironically, I could not find anywhere locally to do it without having to pay for, I think the minimum was like 10, and it was like a $40 a piece item. But I ended up finding someone on Etsy in the United Kingdom of all places, and luckily she was able to do it for a reasonable price. I think it was 40 bucks, and shipping was relatively quick. Just got here about 2 weeks ago. So I'm not too confident in my sewing abilities, so we'll see if this holds up on the mesh. I did what I could as far as sewing it to the mesh and then using super glue as well, but I'm hiking for those 16 individuals, so I thought it was more than appropriate to have them recognized on the pack. Okay, so the other side of the pack right there, that's my Garmin InReach Mini. This thing serves a couple different purposes. One, it allows me to have the capability to hit the SOS button and get rescued if something were to happen and I didn't have a signal or couldn't move or get help any other way. There's added protection in that on the SOS button. So it's a GPS as well. It's also a communicator, so if I'm on the trail or in an area where I cannot get cell phone service, I have the ability to still communicate with my wife and others, and it just goes through the Garmin service, which I believe I just purchased the annual plan, so it's definitely the more expensive plan, but I won't have to worry about an allotment of how many text messages I can send each month. I think it's well worth the money and the wait just to have that that peace of mind, and to give everyone else that might be wondering where I am or wanting to get in touch with me, it gives them peace of mind as well. So on the side here, I have an aqua clip. This attaches to the smart water bottle. I will have 2 of those. You only see 1 here, but I'll have 2 of those. And then I bought the Hyperlight Mountain Gear Versa. This thing's pretty cool. Right now it's attached and set up to be a chest pack, but it adds a good 6 or 7 liters worth of storage. And I can remove it for when I'm in town and, you know, just have a little pack. I can wear it on the hip belt or the chest sternum strap. We'll see kind of how it goes as I progress, and I can move it around and see what works best for me. What I have in there right now is just a little wash towel, or multi-use towel really. Got the AT guide. This just came this morning. It's not the printed in color one. They were having problems with their printer, but I think that really it'll suit my needs. I'm probably going to tear it up into 4 different sections just to save on weight a little bit, and then my wife will include each section with my insoles and footwear as I replace them. So I'm planning on around every 500 miles for mail resupplies. Have some headphones, an adapter for my phone, and then some chapstick with just some tape, a little multi-tool. This thing has scissors, knife, and it weighs next to nothing. I think it's called the Leatherman, yep, there it is, Leatherman Micro. And then just a little thing that my wife got me that she wants me to carry. The other things that I will have in that front pocket are going to be credit cards, cash, possibly, and then my Leosa credentials. I think that's about it. Once it gets warmer, I will definitely put, you know, bug spray and suntan lotion, things like that in there. And then I also have, you know, the side hip pockets where I can put snacks for the day. I'll load those up in the morning. That pretty much covers it for the outside of the pack. The only thing I'm not really happy about is that sleeping pad at the bottom there. There really isn't a good way to attach it from what I found. The pack does have this, and I could put it at the top. I didn't like it that high. It felt like there was something above my head just watching me. I don't know, it just felt weird. So I moved it to the bottom. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so the Junction pack, it's just a standard roll top. At the top of the pack, I'm going to have a beanie if it gets really cold and I need more head protection. I'll be wearing a different one that's just a little lightweight merino wool hat, but this will give me more protection if the temperatures really drop low. And then some gloves. I had some smart wool, I think they were 150 merino. They were okay, they just didn't offer me a whole lot of warmth, so I switched and got these Sirius, they're like all-weather gloves. I don't have a whole lot of experience with them, but they seem okay. So those are what I'm bringing. Also at the top, the ever popular Melanzana microgrid hoodie. If you don't know about these, you can only get them in Leadville, Colorado. It's a small mom and pop shop. I was lucky enough to be in Colorado over the summer for a couple months. Funny story, I actually went there, drove the 2 hours from where I was, only to find a line outside of this place that was, I think it was a 3-hour wait. So I had to scrap it and I headed back. But prior to leaving to Colorado, I tried one more time, got there right when the place opened, and it was about a 30-minute wait. I'll be honest, I mean, these are nice. They cost about 70 bucks in the store. I'm not really sure what all the hype is about though. You can definitely find other things very similar to those. Definitely not worth the money that they're going for on eBay. People are selling them for, you know, 2 or 3 times of what you would pay in the store. Don't get me wrong, it's nice, I like it, it's comfortable, but I'm just not sure I buy into all the hype. Okay, so next, this is my tent. Like I mentioned before, I made the decision a couple months ago to switch to Dyneema fabric. It's more waterproof, gives me more protection, it's lightweight. I really like it, but again, I just don't have the experience that I had in some of my other gear. But so far, I really like this tent. Plenty of room inside. My only issue with it is the condensation, so I'm going to have to learn as I go with the condensation. From everything that I researched, to reduce the amount of condensation, you really have to ensure that there's airflow and whatnot. So I'm bringing along 2 clothespins as well, so I can kind of control the amount of airflow inside both of the doors into the actual tent. Other than that, yeah, the Z-Packs Duplex, very popular tent on the AT. This was all kind of the top layer of my pack. My puffy, again, I want this easily accessible because if it gets cold and I need to put it on right away, I'll have it. It won't be something that I need to dig down into the bottom of my pack and retrieve. This is the Arc'teryx. I don't even remember. Is it Cerium LT, something like that? Cerium LT. Very lightweight. I love this jacket. I wear it not just backpacking and hiking. I wear it, around town too. It gives me a lot of protection, a lot of warmth. So very happy with this. So for those that don't know, just kind of the fundamentals of packing your pack, you don't want to put a lot of weight at the very top or at the very bottom. So really where your torso is, that's where you want to put the majority of your heavy items. So they're right snug up against your back. And that's kind of where I'm at in my pack right now, is the midsection. So I have a dry bag, and this is going to contain all of my electronics. First one, and this is probably one of the heaviest items in my pack. This is the Anchor 2000 AH or AK or whatever it is. This is going to give me the ability to charge all of my electronics while I'm out there. This is probably overkill for what I'm doing. I think it said something like it gives me 7 charges. So I've been considering downgrading to maybe a 10,000. But I really don't want to spend the money. So for right now, it's coming with me. I have a Petzl Tikka Actic headlamp. It's a pretty standard headlamp. I did buy the battery that's rechargeable, so I won't have to buy batteries. Pluses and minuses with that, it's just going to be one more thing that I'm going to have to charge along the way, but I didn't want to have to deal with buying batteries and figuring that out. So this is something that I just bought as well that, I don't know, it's definitely added weight. It's another Anchor product. I don't remember the actual name of it, but what this will do with my battery bank when I'm in town and charging that up is this is going to do it a lot quicker than just plugging in my battery bank. I believe it takes something like 16 to 18 hours to fully charge that battery bank. I didn't want to be in a situation where I'm in town waiting for that. This reduces that significantly, and really it just plugs into the wall and then plugs into this, and I think it will charge in 3 or 4 hours. So again, it's a lot more added weight, but I think it'll be worth it in the end. Okay, the rest in the electronics bag, all I have is just a standard outlet or a wall outlet for my iPhone. I have another one so I can charge my watch while I'm charging the other stuff, and then a power cable, I think a USB-C for my Garmin, and the headlamp, and then a power cable. I'm carrying the Garmin Phoenix 5X, so I'll have to charge that as well. And that is it for the electronics that I'm bringing. Okay, medical kit. This is one that you get from REI, and it has, you know, a lot of standard stuff that comes with the kit, but I emptied all that and kind of built my own. So I got a few medications that I will be bringing. Naproxen, melatonin, because I don't sleep well, some Benadryl, and then some Pepto. That's really it as far as medications that I'm going to bring. I have a roll of duct tape, moleskin, a little thing of Hygiene, some latex gloves, some quick clot, and then a small lighter and a small repair thing for gear if I ever need to plug anything or patch anything. I also have 2 sewing needles just wrapped up in duct tape, and then I put it in a foamy like earplug thing just to protect it from the bag and making sure it doesn't puncture anything. That's it for my medical kit. Okay, the next 2 items are by far going to be the heaviest items that I'm going to be carrying. What you see here is another Dyneema product. This is from Z-Packs, and it's dual purpose. So it's going to keep all of my clothing. So all of my clothing that I'm carrying is in here. And then when I get to camp and I'm setting up for the evening, I flip this inside out, and it's actually fleece lined, and I'll show that to you here in a second, but it will serve as my pillow. So I think if I'm going to be able to save weight anywhere, I think I'm bringing way too much clothes. I just can't find it in me to leave some of the things. What I'm really struggling with right now are my bottoms. I don't know if I should bring pants or if I should just rely on my sleepwear and rain gear and, you know, some compression leggings. Yeah, I'm gonna call them compression leggings because guys normally don't wear tights. Anyway, Prana Zion pants. I do like these. These are what I'm considering just leaving behind though. I'm still undecided. For shorts, I have some Hygiene, just basic workout shorts. These things are pretty lightweight. They dry really fast. They're almost like board shorts. I really like them though. So this will be my sleepwear. This is a Smart Wool, Merino Wool 150. I will use these primarily for sleeping. If it really gets terrible outside, I always have the ability to throw these on as well. But this is what I'll use for sleeping in. And I'll probably ditch these somewhere after the Smokies once it starts warming up. To go with those, I have a Merino Smart Wool quarter zip top. This is the 250 weight, so a little bit heavier, but it's going to give me a little bit more warmth when I'm sleeping. And again, along with the compression leggings, I'm going to probably be sending these back after the Smokies. This is probably something I shouldn't bring. It is a cotton t-shirt. I don't know, something in my head just tells me bring it for when you're at camp or you're in town. You're gonna want to put on something cotton. So I'm not planning on hiking in this or anything like that. Not a ton of weight, but if I was looking to shave some weight, I could probably leave this at home. Underwear, again, if you haven't been able to tell, I'm a fan of smart wool, so just some merino wool, smart wool boxers. For shirts, t-shirts, this is a, I don't know how you say it. Is it Kuhl? Kuhl? K-U-H-L, I don't know. Valiant t-shirt. This is kind of a blend of merino wool and polyester and whatnot. I like the fit of these. I tried some Wool-X shirts. They just felt too baggy. I like a more fitted fit, I guess you could say. Okay, this is probably one of my favorite pieces of gear that I've tried out recently, and these are the Injinji toe socks. Not socks, Injinji sock liners. If you have problems with blisters, I would definitely recommend you getting a pair of these. I have two. I'm bringing 2 pairs, and you just wear them underneath your regular socks. Every time I've tested them out, I haven't had any issues with blisters. So again, one of my favorite pieces of gear that I've purchased recently. Just some more merino socks. These are thick merino wool socks. I probably have 40 pairs of these socks because OSI issued me these socks for deployments, and I don't know, I've just over the years somehow accumulated quite a few pairs of these. So the only thing I'm going to use these ones for is at camp when I'm sleeping, just to keep my feet warm. So this is just a lightweight stuff sack. I'm bringing it to put dirty clothes in. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but it just, to me, it makes sense to separate my dirty clothes from the clean clothes that I'm going to be stuffing in the small sack. So that's what I have right now. All I have in there is a buff, a bandana, and a face mask, because I'll need a face mask for going into town and whatnot. I don't know if this is a stupid idea. Tell me. It just seems to me like I should separate the things. And that's it for my clothes bag. Now, like I was saying earlier, once I get to camp and I'm ready to go to bed, all of the clothing that I'm not using will go back in here, and my puffy, I'll throw that in here as well, and it's going to give me a nice pillow to sleep on at night. Very soft, nice fleece. Okay, second most heavy, or this might actually be the heaviest item. This is the food bag. So I have a Z-Packs bear bag kit. Once again, it's Dyneema fabric, so it will keep everything dry. One of the things I read recently was to make sure you have some marking or something on your bear bag kit to distinguish it from others. It's going to be a pretty busy year on the AT this year, so there's probably going to be more than one person at camp with the same bear bag kit. So just throwing on a few stickers, some reflective tape. Tanya, thank you for this sticker. I have one on Hermit and my bear bag, so that'll come with me hopefully the whole trip. The only thing that I've done to this is I added a few cords to go around the actual buckles, and I ditched the small Z-Packs carabiner that comes with the bear bag kit. It just seemed very weak, and it was attached to like one section. So what this does is once it's suspended from the tree, it's going to take the weight off of just the one buckle, and it's going to be equally distributed to both sides. So inside, I'm going to have OPSAC. Is this an OPSAC? Yeah, it's an odor-proof bag, so I'll put all of my food and trash and whatnot in there. So I just bought this just because my brother's coming, and I'm pretty sure there's gonna be some whiskey drinking going on every night the first week. So I'll probably make him carry that, or we'll split up the weight. But lightweight option to transport some adult beverage. Bring in the long Sea to Summit spork. If you have just the regular length, I don't know, if you're like me, I was very annoyed with it. You get food all up in your hands and whatnot if you're eating out of like the Mountain House dehydrated food. So this protects it a little bit better, it being longer. I don't know why I threw these in here. Maybe they should go in another bag, but they're unscented, but I'll still throw these in my bear bag, just some cleansing wipes for when I'm at camp. For those of you who don't know, when you get to camp in a bear bag, what is this for? It's to protect yourself and to protect the bears, really. So there's a whole method on how to do a proper bear bag hang. There's many different opinions out there, what's safest on whether you use a bear bag or a bear canister or something like an Ursack. Some people even say sleeping with your food is the best option, but what I'm going to be doing is a bear bag hang called the PCT method. It's very easy once you do it once or twice. I say that, I'm probably gonna look like an idiot out there at camp trying to get my bear bag hung, but the overall fundamentals of the hang are fairly easy, and there's plenty of videos out there on how to do that. I feel like I'm Santa Claus, like opening up my toy bag. Okay, so I have another dry bag. So a lot of people with their main bag, they put a 50-gallon trash compactor bag inside of it just for extra protection on rain. A lot of people use pack covers as well. Again, one of the reasons why I went with this bag is it's not going to require a rain cover. I know a lot of people still use them with this particular model. I'm not planning to, and I'm not planning to put the trash compactor bag in there because I have a bunch of dry bags inside a Dyneema bag. I think I'll be okay. Now, if I run into problems and things are getting wet, then I'll adjust and I'll probably put that trash compactor bag in there. This is just kind of a hygiene bag. So I have a little exercise ball, therapy ball, where I can roll out my feet, IT band, and just other muscles and things that are going to be aching me at camp. So lightweight, I don't know. This one's called Trigger Point. Got it from REI for about 15 bucks. Foam earplugs. So I don't know how I feel about wearing these. I'm probably not going to wear them a whole lot. When I'm in my tent, I don't know. I want to be able to hear what's around me. Maybe it's just a control thing. I don't know. But a lot of people say if you sleep in shelters, then you're definitely going to want these. So I didn't really hit on this in the first video, but I did mention, every 4 to 7 days, I'm probably going to stop into town. So when you hike the AT, you can certainly do it the whole way and sleep in nothing but your tent, if you so choose. But there are shelters throughout the entire Appalachian Trail. So these shelters are 3-sided structures, and a lot of people plan their routes by going to those structures. And what they do is you don't have to set up your tent or your hammock. You can sleep inside the shelter, and it gives you that added protection from the elements. I'll be honest, I don't see myself sleeping in shelters if I can help it. Now, I'm probably going to plan my routes and where I stop each night based on where these shelters are, because it gives you protection when you cook your food, things like that. And more often than not, they're near a water source. Many of them also have privies, so that's just an added benefit. But I'm going to be staying in my tent mostly. Maybe I'll sleep in a shelter, but I'll also be staying in town at hotels. And a lot of the experience on the Appalachian Trail, from what I'm told, is staying at the various hostels along the route. Again, I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. You know, sleeping in bunk beds with others. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But just letting, you know, friends and family know that might not know about the Appalachian Trail, that's kind of, it's not just sleeping in the wilderness, although you can certainly do that. So I have a little thing of deodorant. I don't know why. I've kind of got my mind set straight, and just mentally prepared that I'm just gonna stink and I just need to deal with it. But my wife seems to think that I'm gonna want this, so I'm gonna bring it. We'll see how it goes. I have a little bit of Dr. Bonner's soap. I emptied most of it, so it's about a quarter way full. This will just be for cleaning up after doing dinner each night. Little thing of Gold Bond. And then I have a toothbrush, some floss, and that's about it. I have these little floss things. I'm gonna take a couple of them. I don't know how long they'll last. And just the thought of reusing those, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of gross, but I think it's gonna be 2,200 miles of being gross, so we'll see. Okay, so I mentioned earlier on the outside of my pack, I'm bringing the Nemo closed cell phone. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's just a regular pad, but it gives an R value of 2, I believe. So for those of you who don't know, when you sleep in colder climates, yes, your sleeping bag or your quilt is going to give you a lot of protection, and there's varying degrees on the protection it will give you based on what it's rated at as far as the temperature rating. But the large majority of heat loss that occurs when you're in your tent or your hammock is through your body heat escaping through the ground or the underside of your hammock. The way to mitigate that is to get an insulated sleeping pad. So based on the R value, it will tell you how much it's going to protect and retain that heat underneath you. So this Nemo Tensor insulated sleeping pad gives an R value of 3.5, I believe. I didn't want to have to buy a whole new, I think they're like $250 for a higher rated R value sleeping pad. So I'm going to bring the other Nemo to put underneath this one, and that will give me a combined R value of around 5.5. And then once it starts warming up after the Smokies, I'll send that one back. I'll probably cut it down to like a quarter and keep a quarter of it, so I'll have a sit pad. I don't know, that's the plan right now. I don't know if this is overkill. It's just I'm reading a lot online that has me worried that maybe I'm underprepared if I only bring this. I think I'll probably get mixed responses, to be honest, just depending on who I talk to and what people think. But a lot of it's just going to depend on the weather and what I encounter on the trail as well. So I have a Big Agnes Q-Core insulated pad as well. That's what my brother's bringing, I believe. I don't know. I don't find any sleeping pad comfortable, to be quite honest. They're all noisy. They're not very comfortable. I always feel that they're very slim too, like they're not wide enough. But this is the best one, best bang for the buck, I think. I do have, I'm not going to take it out, but it's just a sack that you can roll, and it'll inflate the sleeping pad, so I don't have to sit there and give 20, 30 long breaths and come close to passing out like I normally do. Okay, cook system. So this is another area. I mean, if I really wanted to shave the weight and whatnot, I could do it by switching this out. I do have, at home I have a titanium cook pot with a pocket rocket stove, so it's just a little stove that weighs, few ounces. So I could save a lot of weight with going with that cook system. However, I bought this Jetboil Flash and I just love it. I think it's easy to use. It boils water extremely quick. I don't have to carry an extra, like windscreen and stuff like that for when it's windy out. So I just like the convenience of the Jetboil Flash. So this is what I'm taking right now. I just made these for my brother and I, because the first week he'll be with me. So I think just for ease and convenience, we're probably just going to be bringing the mountain house types of dinners each night and using those for our dinners. So I'm going to bring him one of these as well. If you haven't seen Darwin's do-it-yourself insulated cozy instructions on YouTube, it's a very easy thing to make out of like a sunscreen for your vehicle. You just cut it. All you need is some tape. But basically, once you boil your water and put the water into the dehydrated meal, that meal will go in here and it just keeps it warm. Like $5 and took 15 minutes of my time. So, all right, for my sleeping system, in addition to the pad, I bought an Enlightened Equipment 10 degree 850 fill quilt. This was something that I just recently swapped out as well on my big three. I think I mentioned in the first video, I am a stomach sleeper. I think this is my biggest problem when I'm out there backpacking. I'm not only a stomach sleeper, but I sleep with like my arms above me like this, so it's extremely hard for me to keep my arms warm while I'm sleeping if I'm in that position. So I think the quilt works better, so I'm not, all claustrophobic inside of something like a mummy bag. I did buy a small size Sea to Summit dry compression bag, so it's compressed down. This saves me, I wouldn't say a ton of room inside the pack, but it saves me a little bit. So, and it'll just give it a little bit more extra protection from getting wet inside my pack. And that is it, folks, as far as my gear. Okay, so that was all of the items that I'm going to be carrying in my pack. Obviously, if it's raining, I won't have to carry my rain gear, and if it gets really cold, a lot of the clothing items, maybe I'll actually be wearing. But what I plan to be wearing as I set off in Georgia: Arc'teryx merino wool beanie. This is lightweight. Gives me some protection, but it's not going to make me overheat or anything like that. I mentioned the Injinji toe socks, so I'll have a pair of toe socks that I'm wearing, and then just a pair of regular merino wool socks over those. I have another pair of Hygiene shorts. This is a different model. I think these are the Helix. So it's a different material. It's more stretchy. I don't know how these are going to do with getting wet, but these are heavier, so I'm going to start out with wearing these in addition to some Nike compression leggings. So that's kind of what I was getting at earlier with the pants. I think with shorts and compression leggings and the fact that I'll have rain pants, I should probably be okay with not bringing pants at all, but I don't know. I keep going back and forth on whether I'm going to bring them or not. So this is the same t-shirt as the one packed. It's the Cool Valiant SS. It's the merino wool and polyester blend. And then I'll have a pair of Wool-X briefs. I only had one pair of the Smart Wool briefs that I showed you earlier. I'm not going to show you those because I'm wearing them. I'm trying to get subscribers, not have people run away. I have another merino wool quarter zip. This is a 150 weight, so this will just get me a little warmer as I'm hiking. Again, part of me thinks, why am I bringing this and the microgrid hoodie? I would think I'd probably be okay, but I don't know. Let me know what you think. And then for footwear, I'm going with the Ultra Olympus 4s. So I had the Lone Peaks that I tried last year. They were okay, they just didn't feel like it gave me enough cushion on the bottom. So then I went to the Timp 2.0s. Those I liked a lot more. But I think that these, the latest version of the Olympus, are pretty comparable to the Timps, and it just gives a little bit more cushion and support on the bottom. And then I'm not going to take them out, but I got the Superfeet insoles. I think they're called the Traverse or Trailblazer or something like that. So I got 4 or 5 pairs of those that my wife will resupply me with along the way. I should mention, when I got the Z-Packs duplex tent and I set it up the first time, it doesn't come with stakes from Z-Pack, so I went to REI and I bought these tent stakes called the Nemo hairpins, I believe. I brought those back probably 2 hours after I bought them because I went and set up my tent in my backyard, and I put the tent stakes in the ground and I had those shoes on, and I used my feet to kind of put them into the ground, not knowing that it was putting holes in the bottom of my shoes. So those hairpin tent stakes, I don't know what they're good for, but I replaced them and got the MSR groundhogs, and those seem to be working okay. So I don't know, I'll probably learn quite a few lessons the hard way like that as I go through this journey. Okay, so I don't have the complete meals, packed and ready to go, but I did want to show you kind of what I'm thinking as far as the system that I'm going to use while I'm out there on the AT. So I have these gallon freezer bags, and I have 7 of them. Well, actually I have 9 of them, but 7 days worth, each labeled for the appropriate day. I'll have a dinner in here, I'll have breakfast. I think at least starting out, it's gonna be these dehydrated meals. I know that'll probably get expensive, so I don't know if I'll go to something like doing ramen bombs or Knorr meals or whatnot, but I'm going with this, and I think this was Darwin's recommendation. It's just gonna help me keep organized as far as my meals and how I plan them, and ensure that I don't overeat. I know when I went out on the 5-day trip, I wasn't very hungry, and I think that's pretty normal from what I've read, that you don't really get hiker hunger until you're a few weeks in. But I do want to be sure that I don't overeat, during the resupplies and what I get from town and whatnot, and this will help me make sure that I'm staying on track. So I'll have one of these for each day, and then I'll have one bag for lunches, and I'll just keep this kind of on the top of my pack, or I'll take it out in the morning for lunches as I stop. So I'll probably have something like a tortilla package in here, and then things like pepperoni or a tuna packet, maybe something like olive oil, just because that gives a lot more calories. And then I'll keep my electrolytes in here as well. And then I'll have one more just for trash. Again, I don't know if this is overkill or not, but all of this will go in my bear bag kit with the op sack, and I'll hang it each night. So as I was packaging everything up and I was looking at all the food that I had in each of the packages, I started laughing because it's something my mom did recently. After she found out that my brother was joining me, she went to this local grocery store called Esch's there in Loveland, Colorado. And she was sending me all the photos of all the snacks and telling me everything that she got for us. And then one of the things that she sent me was this big thing of Jiffy Pop. And I told my mom, I'm like, there's no way I'm packing Jiffy Pop out there on the trail. One, it would be bulky and big. I don't know if it's necessarily heavy packing out there, but it would be a nightmare packing out as well, because we want to, abide by the leave no trace principles. But anyway, as I'm thinking about this, I thought, well, that's a perfect trail name for my mom. And she's planning to join me hopefully for a section later on this year. So Mom, you earned it. You are now forever known as Jiffy Pop when you're on the trail with me. And I guess I should probably explain trail names to people that don't know, but apparently when you get out there on the trail in the hiking community, you get a trail name. A lot of people just give themselves trail names, which I don't really understand. I think it'd be much more meaningful and funny, I guess, if it comes from other people. So I'm a little bit nervous of what people are going to call me, but I guess we'll see. But I am officially naming my mom Jiffy Pop. So that's really it for gear, other than probably the most important piece of gear for a guy on the AT, which is long, disgusting hair and a beard. For those of you who don't know, guys in the military are not allowed to grow their beards. Of course, there's some exceptions, but I would say 90% of the peers and colleagues that I have, the first thing they do when they get out of the military is they grow their beard, whether it looks good or not. And I know I don't wear it well, but it's a essential piece of item for the AT. So I got a head start because it drives me absolutely nuts. So I am growing out my beard and I'm growing out my hair, and I'm not going to cut it until I summit Katahdin. The only other time I've had hair this gross and a beard this disgusting was when I deployed to Afghanistan. We were allowed to grow our beards because we did a lot of outside the wire missions. So I haven't had one like this since 2011. It's driving me nuts already, but I'm gonna leave it until I get to Maine. So we'll see. Once again, thank you for everyone who has shared the videos that I've put out so far. Please, please, please go back to the second video, watch the information about the charity. Like and subscribe to the channel. Again, I'm not looking to be a YouTube star or anything like that. I'm just trying to get as many people watching these videos as possible so we can get as many donations as possible for that charity. Fallen, not forgotten. My complete gear list on lighterpack.com. If you go to the description, there's a link that will take you to everything that's in my gear list. And I think that is it. If you have any recommendations on how I can trim weight, of course, please let me know. I'm not one of those guys that's gonna be, shaving grams just to save the weight. I would much rather be comfortable out there. If it weighs a little bit more and it's more convenient, I'm the type that I'm gonna go with the convenience and comfortability rather than just having a pack that weighs as little as possible. Happy trails, everyone. I'm gonna catch you in the next one. We'll see you out there.